Hey, my name is Angela. I'm a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to go over about things that we do early in life and how it affects us later in life. There is some new research out, and the first one is in regards to cognitive decline. And so what we do in our 20s and our 30s can affect our cognitive, our mental health status later in life. And so what this study was talking about, if you have a high BMI, a high fasting blood sugar, and a high blood pressure in your 20s or 30s, then it is associated with the greatest risk of cognitive decline. And so a lot of times we think that we're invincible when we're younger and what we do because we recover very fastly. But those effects actually do affect us when we get older. And what we do when we're younger does build up over our lifetime and can have effects on us later in life. And so in this study, it talked about just having a BMI of greater than 30, which is in the obese category, in adulthood from 18 to 30s was associated with twice the rate of mental decline later in life. That's a huge significant difference. And so especially with the way our society has come, especially in the US, becoming more overweight, becoming more obese earlier in life, then this is definitely something to consider about what you're doing to yourself and how is it affecting not just the here and now, but what might happen later in life and how it might affect your mental health. And that's what they kind of found out in this study, is that those who had a BMI of higher than 30 earlier in life, it affected their later life, not necessarily midlife BMI affecting the cognitive decline as much as it does in the 20s and 30s. And so there was just that greater risk of decline. And so making changes when you're 20s and 30s to lose weight, to get out of the obesity category, can definitely be of help later in life to help with preventing cognitive decline like dementia. And what's also interesting is that early 2020, there was another study that was completed that even just a modest degree of elevation in people's blood sugar, or that which is also called hyperglycemia, was associated with a higher risk or faster rate of cognitive decline among those who were a lot older in life. Especially for this study, it talked about a cognitive decline among adults younger than 88 years old. All right, in another study that talks about weight and the effects of what happens because of that weight is in regards to gout. And if you don't know what gout is, it is a type of arthritis that's very inflammatory in nature, where you can definitely feel the pain, feel the redness, feel the heat, the swollenness that happens with it. Most people might experience it in their knee. But with gout, in this study, it was talking about the weight, the obesity. They looked at obese people, they looked at non-obese, they looked at those who lost weight, if they were obese, and what had happened, and those who remained, their weight didn't change at all. And so in this study, it took information from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey into those 4 different type of categories over a 10-year span. And what they looked at was among 40 to 74 years old participants, and the highest risk of incident with gout was found for participants who had a stable obesity pattern. And so their weight didn't necessarily fluctuate, but they were obese, which is greater or about 30 or more for their BMI. So in this study, it also talked about gaining weight. Those who gained weight during the study increased their risk for getting gout. So it wasn't just those who maintain their obesity state, but those who had gained weight during the period of the study also increased their risk for getting gout. And so in this study, it really does highlight the importance of losing weight and the importance of preventing obesity, to prevent that arthritis, that extra pain, inflammation, because weight itself, when you gain weight, you're mostly gaining fat. Most people are not necessarily gaining weight and gaining muscle mass. That's a different story. And so fat itself in the body produces inflammation in the body, and so definitely gout's not the only increased risk that it has, but that's what they were showing in this study. And so I would encourage you, if you are gaining weight, monitor your weight, lose weight if possible. And the next study I want to talk about is with preventing of frailty when you get older. And then one study looked at individuals in a China community and those who had type 2 diabetes. And the risk factors or among these older adults with type 2 diabetes was to be frail was their risk of, if they had malnutrition, their blood sugar was not balanced, if they had depression, if they were inactive, so their exercise, and also alcohol consumption was also a risk factor for getting frail in these people who had type 2 diabetes. And so among those was 35.1% of the patients were malnourished or at risk for malnutrition, and 69.6% were frail. And in another study in 2018, Spanish researchers found that older adults who had the lowest amount of vitamins, like vitamin B6, vitamin C, were more likely to develop frailty among those compared to those who ate a vitamin-rich type diet. And this came out in the Journal of Age and Aging. And they took 1,600 plus participants that were age 65 and older. Very similar, the other study that was done in China was also based off of 65 years and older. But in this one, in the Spanish study, showed that those who developed frailty were more likely to be obese, had higher frequencies of chronic health problems, such as diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and they also spent more time in front of the television. So definitely somewhat similar to the other study is that malnutrition, lack of physical activity, but also when you get chronic disease states, that will also, from the study, increase your risk for becoming frail. And what frailty is defined as is those with unintentional weight loss of about 10 pounds within a year, self-reported just exhaustion, just being exhausted from doing normal activities, weakness in people's grip strength, slow walking speed, and low physical activity. All right, so I hope that gives you a little bit of information and the importance of what we do early in life and how it affects us later in life, whether it's we want to stay mental sharp, clarity, whether we want to age well, matters about whether or not we're getting in a good enough nutrition, maintain a healthy weight. If you're overweight, lose weight. And so making sure we're getting enough vitamins and minerals from the foods that we eat, getting in a good variety of plants to help us in physical activity. Those are two big ones that they found in one of those last two studies about preventing frailty. And so if you have any questions about the studies, feel free to comment below. I will link all these studies within the description box, so feel free to check that out. And please subscribe to my channel, and I hope you guys have a happy, healthy day. Bye.